This episode is brought to you by Ariston Specialties in Bloomfield, Connecticut, makers of amazing olive oils and other Greek delights. Check them out online at aristonspecialties.com. That's Ariston, Ariston, specialties.com.
It's cornbread and chili time on the Faith Middleton Food Schmooze Party. You can join us for our weekly new podcast with the gang. Our mascot, my dog Bonbon, is here at my feet. He's half corgi, and I rescued him from the Caribbean island of Bonaire. And so you wonder, I don't know why a corgi was in Bonaire, but that's the way it is. Flew him on a plane, by the way. Sent a good friend of mine down there with a cage to go get him. Plus, Chris Prosperi of Restaurant Metro Beast in Simsbury. Our wine guy, Mark Raymond, is away today. He lives in Old Weathersfield. And we have Carl Franklin in Quaker Hill, who's also our editor, and Joanne Church in New London. So, hey, everybody.
Hey, Faith.
Hey. Hey. So, Chris, let's do chili and cornbread. Tell me how you do yours. Do you buy it? Do you make it?
So yeah, I love chili and cornbread. And as far as like buying or making, always make my chili and always buy my cornbread. Now, I can make cornbread, but you know what? You can buy cornbread that the supermarket, especially in my supermarket, and I'm not like a fancy supermarket, just like a Stop and Shop and a Big Y in my neighborhood, both sell cornbread that they make in the store. So, I may doctor it a little bit. Like when I reheat it, I may throw some chopped up jalapenos on top, or I'll open it up and baste it with butter and then toast it, but always buy it because it's just so much easier. Chili, I have a lot of recipes for chili, but my favorite one has pork and beef in it.
Nice.
Oh.
So it's just meat. It has bacon, cubes of beef and cubes of pork, and pork chorizo sausage. So you chop all that up, throw it in a pan. You don't need any oil because you have the bacon juice coming out of the bacon. And I just throw this in a pan and I just cook it until the meat browns. And I don't know if you follow like any kind of like online cooking sites and stuff, but I've been watching this one where they're kind of going between searing hard or searing long. So the last time I made this chili, I did the searing long. So what that means is you get the pan hot and you leave it in the pan. A lot of juice will come out of it, and you just leave it. Is this cast iron
skillet?
Yeah, you just leave it in that pan and that skillet. And it takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to brown. Every once in a while, I throw the spoon in there. And once I get all my meat browned, I pull it all out. I throw in onions and peppers, cook that with some garlic, and then a good tablespoon of chili powder, the spice mix. And then I douse it with whiskey. And I reduce that down. Bourbon is my favorite, but any whiskey works. Then I throw it.
Chris, I'll be right over.
Yeah, right.
No.
Speaking my language, man.
How come I haven't
Then
had
I throw
this?
a 12-ounce beer. I don't use stock or anything. Then I throw a 12-ounce beer in there, and I just let it cook with a dash of Worcestershire sauce, a little spritz of soy sauce for a little more salt. And you can add some hot sauce, or you can add some hot chilies if you want. And then I let that simmer for, I'm going to say, at least about an hour, just on a low simmer. And then this is a little trick because it's a little thin at this point. I take a small handful of cornmeal or grits, any kind of ground up corn, and I throw it in there right at the end and let it cook for like 20 minutes more. And that actually naturally thickens it.
Wow.
And I serve it with lime on the side, and I tell everyone, squeeze lime as you eat it. And you just dip your cornbread in it, off you go.
Oh,
wow.
I'm starving.
Wow. So
We're even
and no beans, right? We're in the no bean zone
now.
now.
Way into the show, and I'm starving already. This is okay. Wow, that sounds so good, Chris.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The whiskey makes it, the bourbon. And you don't have to use fancy bourbon. Just use it cheap, nothing fancy. Don't go crazy. Go Granddad. Anything you can get in the store that's relatively inexpensive, because you're going to reduce it down, right? You're going to cook that down almost with syrup. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be some fancy, $40 bottle of bourbon.
Right.
So with your recipe, you're saying that, you think the bourbon is the secret to making it great.
Oh.
Now, so what if you're someone who doesn't drink alcohol?
You don't have to worry about it, because the alcohol in this long cooking process, poof, gone.
Yeah, it burns off.
Because like I said, you reduce this down to almost a syrup, right? So it coats the onions and stuff. When you throw the meat back in it, it coats it all and gets all yummy. So there's no alcohol left.
Do you make that in the restaurant?
I make it in the restaurant. I make it at home. I make it often, especially, which is funny, because I know people love chili in the summer, but I like it more in the winter, coming up here in New England when it's going to be below 0. That's when you want a big bowl of chili and some cornbread, right?
I would eat that in a box, and I would eat that with a fox.
And then, I forgot, before you go on, melted, just throw some cheese on top and let it melt in there. Not a lot, just a little drizzle of some cheddar or that, what do they call that, Mexican cheese blend you can buy already shredded in the bag.
Yes.
Just take a little bit of that and spritz it on top, and maybe even a dollop of sour cream. And I keep saying a squeeze of lime over the top. Ooh, so good.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Excellent. I'm gonna out myself right now and go next, because it's such a contrast to what Chris does. I
like
I'm
contrast.
one of these. I'm one of these. My best easy chili comes in a can.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned this before.
It's called. I think I mentioned it once before on our new show.
I've tried it too.
We're at faithmiddleton.com, by the way. That's where you can find us. So my brand of chili that you buy in a can, you can actually even get it at Walmart, but you can go online and get it from a million places, and they have it with beans and without beans, and it's called Wolf Brand, like WOLF, Wolf Brand chili. I like my chili without beans. I like just the meat. And it comes in a can that way. It's about the size of a slightly large soup can. So you need to get, if you were going to feed a crowd, you'd need to get, several of these. And, I'll buy like 10 at a time and put them in my pantry.
You sound like Chris.
Hey, Fifth, I went into the supermarket and asked, like a Stop and Shop, and asked for Wolf chili, and they said, we can't sell that. And I said, no, it's not made from Wolf. The brand is Wolf.
Oh.
Just to warn people,
Hilarious.
It's not Wolf chili. It's Wolf Brand chili.
Wolf chili made from real wolves.
Gosh, that's so funny.
I was like, no, I don't eat Wolf. I want the Wolf Brand chili.
It's like Mexican chili made from real Mexicans.
Oh, boy. By the way, you can do this in a stovetop like Chris does in a skillet, or you can put it in the microwave, and they give you directions for how to do that. And then I just, add all those things on the table for people to help themselves, with spoons in the bowls. And I like to serve Modelo Mexican beer, ice cold.
Oh, yeah.
And,
good idea.
I'm not a big beer drinker, but I do love that Modelo. When I used to go to Playa del Carmen in Mexico, I would get it with, every meal except breakfast.
Now, do you add meat to it, Faith?
Yes, I do add meat.
Doctor it.
If people are expecting like a real chili, I go out and get some chopped up meat and I put it in. Because this is a little soupy.
Right.
But it's so good, the taste. And then I put out chips, tortilla chips, and sliced avocados, and
forgot about that.
Tomatoes, and anything anybody wants to
sliced
add.
onion, all the condiments. I forgot about all that good stuff.
Okay, so now we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more of the Faith Middleton Food Schmooze. I'm Faith Middleton, and this is the Faith Middleton Food Schmooze Party. This is our brand new edition, and we do all kinds of things on this show, but mostly have a good time. And I was just telling you about drinking Modelo beer, and I wish I had an ice cold one right now.
Oh my gosh.
I can catch Carl because we can actually see each other. I can catch him, and he's got, there it is. He's got a wine. He's got
Lots of red.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So let's go, Carl. Let's go to you. What kind of chili do you make?
Sure. Well, I have made several types of chilies: white chili, white bean chili, no bean chili. But my favorite is made with sirloin and has no beans. And I use sirloin because it's a very flavorful steak, and it will, it will get a lot tender when you simmer it, which is what you have to do with chili anyway. So I started by sautéing vegetables in oil or fat. I like to use ghee. It's my go-to cooking fat. It's basically clarified butter, which has a really high smoke point. It's great for cooking. And you can make it easily by simmering butter until all the solids fall to the bottom and then get brown and toasty. And then you just strain it, store it at room temperature in an airtight container, and go for it. So I always season every step with salt. And, this is what you have to do when you're seasoning a dish. You don't wait till the end to put in a bunch of salt because it's easier to just estimate, I put in about a cup of vegetables, that's going to need a pinch of salt, right? So I chop up onions, garlic, shallots, green and yellow peppers, maybe red peppers, celery, fennel, which is great in chili, mushrooms, and hot peppers. Yeah, I like mushrooms in my chili.
Nice.
Yeah, because they're meaty.
They are,
Wow.
and some hot peppers too, like a jalapeno, a serrano, and a habanero usually does the trick. I also like dried chilies. You can't go wrong with guajillo chilies. Those are great because they have a nice fruity raisin kind of flavor.
Yeah. How do you spell those?
I think it's Guajillo, guajillo.
Okay. Yep.
Chop them up fine. You saute all of that until the veg is translucent. And then I take them out. I set them aside. Then I cut a good hunk of sirloin steak into bite-sized chunks and brown them in the veggie-flavored ghee. Don't forget to season, salt and pepper. And then once browned nicely, I take out the sirloin and put it in with the veg. And then I add tomatoes. I like a chunky chili, so I'll start with whole tomatoes in a can. Yeah, if you can get San Marzanos, do it.
Yes.
Agreed.
That's what Faith says.
Yeah, it does. Of course. Yeah. An Italian market is your best place to get them, but some brands claim they're from San Marzano, but they're not. So
they say, I think the sneak thing they do on those labels is San Marzano style.
Oh, sneaky.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what they do. So don't fall for that.
Don't fall for that.
Okay.
But if you go to a good Italian market, they'll tell you that's the one. Get those. So their variety plum tomato only grows within a small area of Italy. So at this point, after the tomatoes go in, if it's not saucy enough, you can add some tomato sauce. But at this point, I like to add some good extra virgin olive oil. So I add the veggies and the steak to the tomatoes, put it down on a simmer. And this is where you add your flavor. I love Worcestershire sauce.
Oh.
Yeah, a little mustard maybe. A little liquid smoke if you like it smoky.
Ooh, yeah.
And people say liquid smoke is kind of cheating. And yeah, it is, but it's actually smoke that's captured in water. There's smoke particles in it. It's natural stuff.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. So, of course, we're going to add chili powder and cumin. We already have onions and garlic, so we don't need those. And here's my secret. I like to add curry powder.
Ooh, I'm a curry fan.
I love curry. A nice Madras curry or something. No, so curry has to be cooked out. You can't, you have to cook it for a long period of time. So it works really well in chili because you're going to simmer it for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So a crock pot, you can put in a crock pot or just put it on the stove on low heat, covered for a couple hours, and then it'll probably be done. You want to stir it every once in a while. And you can serve it like Chris said, shredded cheese, some green onions, some sour cream.
This is like, Carl, this is like your international chili. I've heard about 5 countries go by.
Yeah. I love the mushrooms.
The curry.
I know.
The curry's the thing, right? I have a friend who gave me some chili that he made, and I was like, what is that flavor? It's amazing. He goes, curry.
Yeah,
and I was
I love it. No, I love curry in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
As for cornbread, I shared my recipe for keto cornbread in the Thanksgiving Sides Show, which was episode 19. So I'll link to that again. It's basically almond flour, and you use some cornbread flavoring that brings out
I remember
the flavor.
that now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep, good stuff. So that's what I
And
got.
I just get that little box. What is it, Jiffy?
Jiffy.
Yes,
That little
it
box,
is.
and I just throw my cornbread
I'm right
in
there
it.
too.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
this show should be called Lazy Cooking.
No, it's easy.
It's like-
It's all shortcuts. Shortcuts are good.
Yeah, they are. And,
Right.
Chris, when that comes from you as a professional chef, it really means something to me when you say you don't mind cooking that way. Because that's how I used to, start cooking at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the company would be coming in the door at 5, and I'd just be finishing.
Oh,
And
That's
now I just
crazy.
thought, the heck
Exhausted,
with that.
right?
no, that's, yeah.
It's
It's
awful.
fine if you have the whole day to throw away.
Yeah.
And I also went to a friend's house for dinner once a long time ago, and the husband and wife, they spent the entire time in the kitchen, barely ate with us, maybe spent like we were there for probably 2.5 hours, and they probably spent 10 minutes with us, and the meal was amazing, but we didn't go there just to eat. We went to see
Right.
them, and we barely saw them.
Yeah, I think some people think it's a gift. Think of it, these meals as gifts to us. And so, you just go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the real gift is spending time with people, right?
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I have a friend who was explaining a dinner she went to, and she said that the hosts came out about every 15 minutes with a new course.
Wow, yeah.
And then
that's what I'm
everyone
talking
enjoyed
about,
that
right?
course. So they had a sushi.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had, a this and a that. And she said, I've never eaten that way before.
Yeah.
And the host would sit down and eat that course and then clear the stuff away. And
then disappear.
and then disappear. And then we'd all be talking and then out they'd come again. So,
Wow.
okay. So Joanne Church.
So a couple of things that I love about this recipe is that everything is cooked in the same pan and that you can cook the chili 24 hours in advance. So you can spend a lot more time with your guests. And my favorite way to cook it is in a skillet. So I'm going to cook the chili. It's going to be in the skillet. And then I'm going to spread the cornbread on top of the skillet and then bake it.
Oh,
It looks
oh
beautiful.
my God.
It's but you can use a casserole dish, and this weekend I'm making it because it's going to be 0 degrees, and I'm putting them in the little tins and delivering it to my
individuals.
neighbors.
Oh,
So
I wish I lived close.
yeah,
Sign me up.
Wait a minute. What little tins are you going to put them in?
you know where you buy the aluminum tins,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like little pie pans, right? They're maybe 6 inches.
or these are more like 4 inches deep, maybe 6
Oh, yeah,
inches
sure.
wide, just
Okay.
for just enough for a nosh. So in the skillet, I'm going to put a tablespoon of olive oil, and then for the protein, I'm going to use ground turkey, but you can use ground chicken, you can use ground beef, or vegetarian. Just scrap all of that.
Crumbles.
Yeah, a cup. Yeah, crumbles.
Yeah,
A
those
cup of-
vegetarian crumbles.
I've never tried those, but absolutely, you could do that. A cup of chopped yellow onions, a cup of bell pepper. I don't love anything but the yellow pepper, so that's what I'm going to use.
Sweet.
A half a
Me too.
jalapeno, maybe a whole, depending on the spiciness that you want. I also like to add, and this helps if you don't have the meat protein, is a whole peeled, chopped sweet potato.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
And then a couple 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce and a half a cup of chicken broth. And now I'm thinking I might add a half a cup of beer because it seems like that would make sense.
So
And
good.
then a can of diced tomatoes and kidney beans. I'll make my own kidney beans. I like the kidney beans. You could use black beans. You can use pinto beans. Also, a tablespoon of brown sugar, because I think a small amount of the brown sugar really brings out the salty and the spice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You,
And
you
then
could
for
do
the-
this with tofu, right, Julian?
I never have, but sure. Sure.
Okay.
And then for the herbs and spices, just chili powder, dried oregano, cumin, salt, pepper, and you cook that. And then you get the Jiffy 2 boxes, mix it, spread it on top, and bake it. It's just, and then maybe slice up a couple jalapeno pieces to just decorate it. It's so good, and it's so easy if you make it in advance. All you have to do is make the boxed cornbread, spread it on top, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
it's like a
pretty
chili
good.
pot pie.
You know, that's a good point, Joanne. Any chili is going to taste better after a day in the fridge the next day.
Yeah.
Mine too.
And spaghetti sauce is the same way. You know, any kind of tomato-based thing.
And I like the boxed cornbread because
and you could add corn to it. You could add jalapeno to it. You could do whatever you want.
And I like that.
And beer is a great option, but just looking at Carl, I think Pinot Noir is great with cornbread chili casserole.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that the next time I make my chili. I'm going to get that box mix and try to make it like a shepherd's pie kind of thing. And
that's what it sounds like.
It just sounds amazing because you've got to dig through the cornbread to get to the chili. Oh my God.
It looks beautiful in the skillet, the presentation.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, now I'm hungry.
See, this is what happens. This must be how I gained this weight. Doing this show, I'm telling you. I start cooking like a mad woman as soon as the show is done.
So good.
Yeah.
And Bonbon, our dog, our Madly call him our mascot. He just comes running into the kitchen and he lies down with his feet out in front of him like a lion, and he just lies there and stares. He won't break eye contact with me. Like, is there going to be some part of this for me?
Oh, hey, before we go, I want to tell you guys that I made my best ice cream so far. It's chocolate ice cream with a peanut butter ribbon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like real peanut butter in there?
Yeah, I mean, I cut it with some stuff, but and it's all keto, it's sugar-free. So I'll talk about that on another show.
I want ice cream now.
That's amazing.
I just want to say that I could have killed Carl because he sent me a picture of it in the container, and I was speechless. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Why don't I live next door to these people?
I'm going to have to deliver you some. That's really, really good.
Do sea salt caramel ice cream.
This is another
show.
That's
my favorite.
Obviously.
You know
what?
Yeah, we'll do an ice cream show. We usually do about 60 of them, but you know,
in the summer.
I like some like crunch inside. I like some kind of
yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, now I want ice cream. You guys
I know.
Chili, cornbread, and ice cream.
That's it.
Makes
What
sense.
more do you need?
Get that spice
And a
right
beer.
out.
Yeah.
And a beer.
All right, people. On behalf of Carl Franklin and Joanne Church and Chris Prosperi, I'm Faith Middleton, and this is the new Food Schmooze Party podcast. And we'll see you next time, every week.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.